Bonjour mes amis, hi guys. I always talk about watches, but today I want to share my other passion, which is guitars in particular. I'm very fond of Gibson Les Pauls from the Gibson custom shop. So I wanted to go through my current collection. I've owned more guitars than I still own. I bought and sold many of them, many of those custom shops, many of the signature models, so artist models recreated by the custom shop. And of course, every piece of wood is different, and they try to make them with the historic program as close as possible to the best ones, the one from 1959, 58, 1960. And many of the ones I have been relict, aged, to look like they've been played a lot, or just that the varnish has cracked. And yeah, let's get going. This is the one that really got me going. And yeah, maybe a word about why I got into Les Pauls when I came of age. Guns N' Roses was the band. Slash was the guitarist. He was so cool, and he really brought back the Les Paul to the front of the stage, quite literally. And I just loved the band. It was just so cool, so original, such good lyrics, great riffs. And really, when I tried, that's the guitar I always wanted. My first one was a very affordable copy of a Fender Strat. I learned on that, and then I got an Epiphone Flying V, and then I got a 1980 Les Paul Standard, quite a heavy one, a far cry from the beautiful custom shop guitars. And much later, when I got to Japan, there was you could find everything you wanted, and I got this one from someone who became a great friend to this day. We chat every day. He still lives in Japan, Chris, and so I called this guitar Christine. And back then, Chris was buying and selling guitars when the yen was low, American guitars, and reselling them to Americans, basically, to anyone who wanted them. And I was in Japan, and yeah, I saw this on his website and got in touch. And we became fast friends after that. We share the same sense of humor, same interests. And so what this is a Gibson custom shop reissue. So reissue meaning that they try to get as close as possible to the ones from the 50s. It's a 1958 standard reissue, so historic 58. We call those a R8 reissue of a 1958. And it's a bit special because it's a 50th anniversary, so from 2008. And it's even more special because it's one of 20 or 25 special Japanese run, which had a sort of a dirty lemon type of top. And I've seen other ones, and this is by far the best color. Other ones were quite yellow. This one has just an amazing maple top, and look how 3D the top is. Typically a 58 won't have too much flame, but this one is very flamey. And you have the all-seeing eye that you often see in those maple tops. Beautiful carve, so it's a two-piece of maple. You see cut in the center and book matched. And this one is aged by Tom Murphy. So if you know the relicking process of Gibson, Tom Murphy used to make everything himself. Now he's got a team doing it. But this one is Tom Murphy, and you can find somewhere his signature, sort of a TM, into the checking marks that he was doing with razor blades to replicate a guitar that has been, outside, inside, in the cold, in the heat, and so the finishing would crack like this, and he adds a bit of wear to to the metal parts. The pickups are a bit of a mystery. I've never changed any of the setting, never turned any wheel, any screw. Everything is just as I got it. And this is one of the guitars that's always perfectly in tune. I can pick it up after a year in storage and it's still in tune, still works amazing. And so I never removed the pickup. I don't know what they are. They're not the usual burst buckers, as they call them. So let's move a bit. Not a great light here. The fretboard also is very, very dark. It's not Brazilian, but it's very, very dark, and always nicer to have a very dark fretboard. I always look for that. These are the picks I use, the 114 Dunlop Tortex. Why? Well, if you know Slash, that's what he uses. So I try them and I just like them. A lot of people like the more flexible ones, the thinner ones. I like one that's quite hard, and I use the same for acoustic, bass, everything. So there you go. 2008 58 Reissue Japan edition with a very cool 888 55. So the first 8 stands for Reissue of 58, and first the 8 there from 2008, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while. I used to be on the Les Paul forum every day, and I have barely looked at it for the past 5-6 years. You see, I was obsessed with guitars, and I still love them. And but once you find the one I'll show you later that really is as good as it gets, you don't feel the need to chase always the next one. So the neck on the 58 is quite rounded. So this is probably the fattest neck in my collection. But this guitar just plays amazing, always in tune. I've played it on stage, and just full of riffs. Some guitars, you pick them up and they inspire you, great riffs. And this is one of them. There you go. I don't make it really justice in this room here, but hopefully you get the idea. This one is one of the best 58s you can imagine. It's just sensational. Tom Murphy aged. And yeah, to me it's priceless. I could never let go of this. And yeah, it started my love of the custom shop Les Paul. It's the first one I got. And I met my friend Chris through this. So this one is called Christine. And yeah, that's my 58, right? Incredible watch. Incredible guitar. I'm going to say watch all the time. I'm so used to making watches videos that I'm going to call the guitars watches. Incredible guitar. And it sounds very good. I've recorded many things. Maybe not my best sounding guitar, but just a guitar full of great memories, full of great songs in it. And it comes, of course, with the Lifton case. I don't think I have the certificate inside. Maybe I do. No, it's away in a storage, but there you go. Let's move on to the next guitar, which is also very special. All right, second guitar, and we're staying with the Lifton case, a bit thicker than the previous one. We stay with the Les Paul, and we are staying with Slash in a way. I'm sure even if you don't know guitars well, you have seen the video for November Rain when Slash comes out of that church to play a guitar solo filmed by a helicopter. This would have been the guitar he was playing, but not this one actually. This one is a replica done by the custom shop. It's a signature series again of that guitar, and this is the Joe Perry model. So why the Joe Perry? Why not Slash? You might know the story. In the 70s, Joe Perry owned a 59 Les Paul, and well, he pissed away all his money and had to part with it in some way, somehow. And then when Slash got some money, when Guns N' Roses was getting successful, he bought some vintage guitars, and yeah, he found somehow this one. This one came to him, this 59 that Joe Perry owned, and he recognized it immediately because of the color. There's not many that faded to a dark color like this, or that were painted darker in 59, 60, or more like 59 for this, and especially the wear mark here that was put not by Joe Perry, probably by the previous owner, maybe a jazz guy playing a lot with the volume knob here, and he knew what it was, and probably checked also the serial number, and so Slash bought it, and I doubt he ever recorded with it. He did play the I think the American Awards or the Grammys with it. You can check that out, and so you can hear it played, and of course you can hear it in some 70s concerts by Aerosmith. So anyway, Joe Perry wanted it back, and Slash wasn't keen on letting it go, and then finally for the 50th birthday of Joe, you know, any Les Paul by that time, any 59 had become a $250,000 type of guitars, but that one with the provenance would be $1 million guitar, and he gifted it back to Joe for his 50th birthday. So that's the story, and so Gibson recreated down to all the details, the wear, the checking marks, the wear on the pickups, and especially the wear behind this amazing, super comfortable 59 neck, much slimmer than the 58 that I showed you before. This one is the ultimate 59 neck. It doesn't have any shoulder width here, so tapers right away, feels so good. Just an amazing neck, and again, very dark fretboard. You can see the checking marks done to replicate the wear of many years being played. It was owned by Joe. It was owned by someone before Joe. Some members of the Les Paul Forum owned the original one as well. The one I have is the Perry 52, by the way. And there you go. It's not signed by Joe Perry, but this one is aged by, I don't know if it's Tom Murphy himself or his team. But there you go. The wear behind the neck makes it very smooth to play. You get the wear behind. So you might wonder, hey, why do you want those damaged guitars? And they just feel broken in, right? And it's a bit of a trip to get these. They just feel broken in. And being a fan of Aerosmith, you know, after I had gotten into Guns N' Roses, afterwards you go backwards, you work backwards. And so I got into Aerosmith, the Stones, and Led Zeppelin, ZZ Top, Lynyrd Skynyrd. I love playing that music. It's music that I can understand and I can replicate when I play it. It's my favorite stuff to play. But anyway, this guitar sounds amazing. Great pickups, and the neck is fantastic. 59. It's as good as it gets. So you gotta have a 59 in your arsenal. And yeah, there you go. It's a wonderful piece. I don't know when it came out. It's somewhere in the 2010s. I got it right after I had left Tokyo, so about 12 years ago. Those came out, and I found one at a good price in Japan, and I had it brought here. Let me try to capture a bit the flame. The original one of Joe Perry doesn't have that much flame, but I think this one captures it very well in some way. And so maybe if I reduce a bit the light, you can see it better. It's a very cool guitar to play, and yeah, if you're gonna have a 59, this is as good as it gets. You might say, hey, why don't you have the Pearly Gates? Well, I had one. Pearly Gates is the guitar of the ZZ Top frontman, of course, Billy Gibbons, and I had one, and a gorgeous one, much more beautiful than this. Beautiful colors, it was aged, gorgeous sound, and it sounded terrible. It played really bad. The neck had more shoulders, was not very pleasant to play, and it just sounded very bad, something wrong with the wiring, the pickups they had chosen or whatever, or the wood itself. It just wasn't right. And when it's not right, you're not going to play it. So if you can, always try before you buy. But anyway, I sold it for a big profit to a collector because I had bought it for a very good price in Japan again, from Hong Kong. And there you go, the pearly gates didn't stay, but the Joe Perry did. All right, staying in the 1959, another Gibson custom shop Lifton case. They also reissued the case that they used to make, well, as close as possible. And this is something very rare again, from the Collector's Choice series. Collector's Choice is the custom shop scanning down to every detail one of the most favorite guitar from a famous collector. In this case, it's Tommy Coletti, who is the owner of the Music Zoo. This is a Collector's Choice 22A, and I have number 77, lucky number. You can see those funky painted on the Grover tuners. It replicates how the guitar is. So the provenance of the original one is a 59 Black Beauty that was owned by, I believe, the guitarist from the Pretenders. Maybe he's the one that sort of put this funky varnish, nail polish maybe, on the tuners. And you can see again, it's got aging all over. And typically when Gibson does a Black Beauty, it's a 57. So what's really special here is that it's a 59. And the neck, very close to the Joe Perry, but more feeling like a V. And they had to go through a few prototypes until Tommy Coletti, the owner currently of the guitar, said, yeah, that's the one, that's correct. So you feel there's no shoulders here, it's very comfortable, it's a V profile that sort of gets a bit more softer here, rounder. And this guitar looks amazing. You see the aging process on all the parts, the pickups, of course the top. Let me put it here under the light. Again, yeah, a relic guitar. I just like it. It feels broken in. And of course, you buy a guitar like this, you put a few more dings into it and you want to sell it, well, nobody's going to be able to tell if the wear is from the custom shop or from your own making. But then again, here you have ebony fretboard, real ebony, and beautiful headstock with my usual Tortex Dunlop 114. That's what I play everything with. I love these. And yeah, this one, fantastic. Obviously, Clapton played one of those that he bought from Paul Kossoff of the band Free. I love those bands. And of course, the most famous would be Keith Richards, very famous for having one of these. It was stolen in the south of France. But this one has a searing bridge pickup, just amazing. So I love to play the Stones with the cover band I have here in Hong Kong, and this is just fantastic. Very smooth neck. I put the middle neck all the way down because it's very difficult to play. You always hit on it. Sometimes I put it back up, and but the wiring, the original wire is the same as the original wiring from the 59. In the middle, you don't get those two like you would for a normal Les Paul. You get those two, and it's not out of phase, but it's just so close that it's a very nasal sound. It's okay, it's interesting, but it's not something you're going to use as much as those two pickups together. Of course, Jimmy Page was also famous for having for playing one of these in around '69. And he's had all sorts of wiring, and actually used to own the custom shop version of the Jimmy Page guitar with the vibrato and a push-pull to split the coil on this one, and a 6-way switch, which is great. I'd love to have that, or at least I'd love to have a few options, be able to put this one in and out, and at least have the normal wiring for having this. So one day I'll have it done, but At the same time, having less options make you sometimes play better, and you do with what you have, and what you have here is a real incredible machine. Of course, it's heavier. That's probably my heaviest guitar, heavier than my other ones, but it's just gorgeous, and the Black Beauty is always a show in itself. Just a wonderful, wonderful animal. And yeah, so that's the collector's choice number 22. And here it is. This is the one that ended my fever to always buy more. I did buy one more guitar after this. I'll show it to you. But look, even the case is aged. So it's all crumbling, falling apart. You get all dirty just holding it. So they've aged it. And this one, wow, what a story, and what a guitar. And when you see it, you will think it's something, but it is not what you think it is. So yes, everyone who knows guitars will think when they see this, that this is a Jimmy Page guitar. Of course, Jimmy Page, the greatest guitarist of all time, the greatest rock guitarist, let's say, of all time, the most inspired guitarist and producer and a songwriter of all time. Just so unique. Led Zeppelin is in a different galaxy to me than the other bands, and they had no limit, and that's what I like about them and Pink Floyd, is that they could create without the constraints of blues rock, and it would have, of course, the results that we know. So this one looks like his number one guitar, and the custom shop did make a run of Jimmy Page number ones and the number two, and also the red one, I believe, but in the early 2000s, I believe they did that. But this is not what it is. This one was a special order by, as you know, Japan is very fond of guitars, and they get the best stuff. And so G Club, which sells a Gibson custom shop, made a special order for a few guitars, and they wanted to get the color just right, better than the run of the Jimmy Page. They wanted to get the same aging, so you have the same wear, famously here as well. They wanted to get, of course, the Grover tuners, but there's a couple of things, and of course the exposed double black pickups. But they did some mistakes on the original run. Original run, they had the pickups out of phase, which was never the case for Jimmy, and most of the sounds you hear from him live are the regular pickups in phase, in the middle position. If you don't trust me, try it. You will understand how to get the Jimmy Page sound. And of course, he would flick to the bridge for some solos. He would use the neck pickup a lot, turn down the volume, get a clean sound. So he was using his volume and tone a lot, and most of the time with Led Zeppelin, there was no special wiring. He had special wiring on his number two, and then on his number one, he did a push-pull here to get an out-of-phase sound between those two. But he never had that during, so you don't need that to get his main sound that he had, and just get a high watt or a Marshall type of amp and a Les Paul, and there you go. But this one here, regular wiring, but you have a push-pull here and here to split the coil here and here. So you get a lot of combinations. You can't do the out of phase, but between you and I, out of phase is fun for 5 minutes, and then you sound stupid if you use it too many times on stage. But if you do a cover band, this is so good if it's well done, because then you have access to a lot of Strat, Fender type of sounds, and a million type of sounds when you blend the pickups and play with the volume, which I do a lot. The way I play is the way those guys played. So I have just a dirty sound, and I turn down the volume to have a clean sound, and I put it full up to get my solo sound. And most of the time I'll be on a 7 or 8 to have a rhythm sound, a dirty sound, to play the riffs and all that, and just turn up to 10 to get my solo sound. There's a big bump because these are audio pots, not to get too geeky, but the old linear pots were not good. You need the audio pots that they got in 2012, I think. They got that right from the custom shop. But anyway, the thing with the wiring is that sometimes when you split the coil of a humbucker, it just sounds like shit and the volume drops a lot. It will always drop a bit, but sometimes it's just awful. But this guitar, this one, I don't know, it's probably a question of the pickups and the pots that they use. It's just perfect. They're magical. And so this guitar sounds amazing in whether you're full humbucker or splitted. And I've tried another guitar from this run, which had a more beautiful top, and I went very far in Japan, out of town to find it, and it didn't sound as good. And it had a nice, darker fretboard, but this one, which is not as dark, is very smooth. Some of those fretboards that are a bit more brown are very, very smooth, and it plays amazing. So since I'm talking about the neck, this one here is, by the way, I'm in an industrial building here. For the Jimmy Page run, the real one, they had copied his neck, which had been sanded in the middle to something very, very thin, very uncomfortable. And G Club didn't want that, so they ordered a version 2 of the 1960 neck. So for the anniversary of the 1960 versions of the Les Paul, Gibson Custom Shop did 3 type of necks. So in 59, there was that perfect neck that I showed you before. And then the 1960, they got very, very thin, but not all at once. So you had a bit thinner, then a bit thinner, then very, very thin. And this is the in between, the version 2. And I have to say, as much as I used to think I needed a thick neck, this is the best. This plays amazing without being too thin. And again, what a choice by G Club. Of course, you got the Grover tuner. So again, magical guitar that's always in tune. I've played it on stage, many rehearsals, and my singer always looks at me with a smile when I play this because it nails every song we do. And with the wiring options, I can play all sorts of things, get a thinner sound. The back has been aged very well. Back of the neck is not really aged. And there you go. And why does it say 8? That's because this is a 58 body, so not too flamey, just like Jimmy Page's guitar. And the flames sort of go upwards that way, just like Jimmy Page. So they're horizontally here and then sort of flame up. And I think it's very close to the Jimmy Page original, and the color as well is very close, although his has completely faded now, I think, but still a bit of orange that used to be red before. Beautiful top carve. And so I think that this one really nails the vibe of the original, of the Inspiration guitar, of course. There you go. And so, yeah, this one is just so good that, yeah, there'll never be another one. There might be another one that looks better. As I said, my Pearly Gates looked amazing, but it sounded nothing like this. So this one just happened to have the good wood made on the right day. I don't know, maybe a Wednesday guitar when the custom shop is just at its best.